everyone, welcome back. Today I've got a very special treat. I've got Laura here and she's been kind enough to join me to talk about a house that I'm pretty unfamiliar with. It is 8 and Bob. Now Laura, you work for T2M.
T2M Sensory, yes, that's correct.
And you guys distribute these fragrances to retail stores in Australia?
That's exactly right. So all over Australia and New Zealand.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we'll dive straight into it because I'm really keen to try the 8 and Bob fragrances, and I have heard of them and there's a bit of a story behind them.
Yes, so I'll tell you a little bit about 8 and Bob. There's a really cool story connected to how the original fragrance in particular was discovered and then released to the world to share it with everybody. So pretty much 8 and Bob is beautiful. It represents the luxury lifestyle and the living the good life, I guess. So lots of travel, summers in the French Riviera and Egypt, and then tropical islands, and just having parties, having drinks with friends, and living the good life. So it's a brand that represents all of those wonderful, beautiful things, and time spent with friends and family and enjoying yourself, pretty much.
Sounds like my life aspiration.
Yeah, I know. So the original fragrance here, which is called 8 and Bob, the original. So this is really cool because this fragrance was actually discovered by JFK, John F. Kennedy. He was actually on a holiday traveling through the French Riviera, and he met a lovely French man called Albert Fouquet. And look, when he met Albert, they got along quite well quite quickly, and he actually smelt Albert and said, what are you wearing? You know, you smell amazing. And he said, well, I actually make my own fragrance with me and my butler Philippe in his chateau in France. So he said, I love it, it's amazing, I haven't smelt anything like it before. So what happened was, the next day JFK went to his hotel and he had a bottle of fragrance waiting for him with a little note on it that said, in this bottle you will find a dash of French glamour that your American personality lacks. He thought that was quite cute and funny. And then JFK ended up going back to the States after his wonderful holiday, and Albert and JFK kept in touch through letters, and JFK found that he was getting comments all the time about what he was wearing and his wonderful scent, and his dad also fell in love with the fragrance. He said, can you please get me a bottle? Because he started, I would say he was probably stealing his and wearing some of it. And then he was affiliated with a lot of stars at the time, so movie stars like Cary Grant,
and
Jimmy Stewart. That's where I got confused, yes. So, you know, it became this, all the Hollywood movie stars were going, oh, what's this fragrance? So he ended up writing a letter to Albert, can I please have 8 samples and 1 for Bob? So he ended up shipping bottles to them, and he had to, you can see here, the fragrance is actually presented inside a book. And the reason for that is because when they had to send the bottles, it was during the period of war, so the Nazis wouldn't confiscate the fragrances. They had to hide them inside. They hand carved into books and hid them inside books so that they could send them overseas and get them out of the country. So pretty much the really special thing about this too is it's pretty limited production, because this fragrance has got an ingredient, a note, a particular note. One of the main notes in it is called the Andrea plant.
Oh, okay.
And it's a plant that Albert actually discovered when he was traveling to Chile. It's harvested actually once a year in the months of November and December, or December and January, I think. And then from the harvest, they actually can decipher how many bottles or how much production they can make for the year, and then that's distributed throughout all of the worldwide.
Oh, okay. So there's a limited number of bottles produced each year.
That's
because
right.
of that. Okay.
That's right. So
and only of this original.
only of the original.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. Because that's got the main. That's the one with the Andrea plant,
Yeah.
which is what Albert calls it. So shall we?
Shall we? We shall. I was getting that from here.
What I think about this fragrance is that anybody can wear this.
I was going to say it's the first thing I thought of was it's clean, it's elegant,
Yes.
and it could be worn in any situation.
It's so many things in one. There's a lightness, a freshness, but there's also a depth and a creamy sort of warmth to the fragrance.
Yeah.
And I find it to be it's classy, it's refined. Anytime I particularly wear it, I get comments from both men and women. Everybody says, "Oh, what is that? That's wonderful."
And creamy is a good way to describe
Yeah.
it too. It's got this like bright top, but it's
So the actual notes, the top notes you've got in there are pink pepper, cardamom, and lemon.
okay.
And then you have, along with obviously the Andrea plant, in the middle notes you have violet leaves and labdanum, and then dried wood. And then the base is sandalwood, amber, and vetiver. It's quite a rounded scent, and I do find that pretty much that anybody that does smell it does really like it.
Yeah, and the thing I'm noticing about it is as you're reading those notes out, you know, I wasn't getting everything, but as you read some of them out, like you go, oh yeah, that's there, but it's still blended really well.
Yeah, I really don't find with this particular scent that I can pick all the notes. I find that it's just it has done its job in it's created a whole new scent that you go, I can't pick out that or this or that. I just find that it's just the 8 and Bob original, you know.
It's just beautifully rounded, like,
Yes.
and there's really. It's really not much more to describe about it other than it would be really versatile. It's clean. It's softer and it's not too masculine, not too feminine.
Yeah. It's sort of the gender is definitely blurred. I think that as much as this is quite a masculine-looking brand, I find that equally women love it as much as men. Speaking of the French Riviera. So, Cap d'Antibes is it's inspired by the Grand Blue and sailing on the French Riviera.
Yeah.
So, Albert spent a lot of time with friends and other, aristocrats of the time, and they would all come and go sailing on the French Riviera. So, and they would have they would go to the Eden Rock Hotel and have balmy nights when the sun's coming down, everlasting sunsets, and you can imagine it. It's really sort of, and when I actually first smell this, it does smell blue. It smells like it's got an aquatic element to it, but then you've got this really great depth too.
I'm looking forward to this because in general aquatics, are a bit hit and miss for me.
Yes.
So I'm interested to smell something like this.
Okay, here we go.
Oh yeah, it does, immediately. That it's not too. Let's say some fragrances are described as oceanic, but
it's not so oceanic.
Yeah,
it's like you're smelling. It's like what the color blue would smell like.
It's true because there's even elements of smelling people in the sun, I guess, is what I'm trying to describe here. Like it's a real holiday kind of smell that I'm getting.
There's quite a bit of mint in this one.
Okay.
And I think also some violet, but the mint I think is definitely something that stands out to me.
Well, I've got to say the mint in this is really well done because generally, when I smell mint in most fragrances,
you don't like it.
No. But it's really nicely done in this one.
Yeah. This is for me, I think that this is a really nice going out scent. It's a nighttime scent, and it's nice. It's nice on a warm summer night. Actually,
perfect for tonight. Maybe.
Yeah, actually, that's perfect weather for it today. So that's the Cap d'Antibes. So sailing, summers. It's fresh, but it does have a lot of lasting. Like these fragrances really do last on the skin, and so you don't need a lot of them when you wear them.
Yeah.
So I find that if you do one spray, pretty much it'll last most of the day on the skin, which is really nice because they are all eau de parfum, apart from the Memoirs de Mustique in the collection, which is an eau de toilette. Yes, but that is supposed to be a lighter fragrance too. So Egypt.
Let's do Egypt.
Okay, Egypt. Now Egypt's quite sweet. There's a nice story behind Egypt. Egypt is inspired. Albert made this fragrance. He made it actually. Albert made a lot of fragrances for friends. So he would actually have big parties, and he would have everybody over for dinner in his big chateau, and he would make bespoke fragrances for each of his friends. And so that's very. Imagine being there at a dinner and going, Pep, I've actually made something for you, especially for you. You'd just be like, oh my goodness, wow. So this is inspired by a friend of Albert's called Ahmed, and he was from Egypt, a childhood friend. And so Albert, remember, would go to Egypt, and Ahmed had a villa there in Egypt, a beautiful place, and he would go there and spend lots of time they had a beautiful garden, and there was all these plants and these flowers that he'd never ever experienced before or smelt, that were quite different, and spices. Like, he was very inspired by lots of the resins and spices and that he wasn't so familiar with in France, and you know that they were also used as offerings to the gods and the pharaohs and all of that. So that's pretty much what's inspired this fragrance. So going there and wanting to pretty much capture that experience, experiencing those spices and resins and all of those magical things that he experienced for the first time.
I have to say that just from your description and what I've read a bit about, this is the one I've been looking forward to the most at smelling. It is kind of what I really
find
like.
I think it's a very sexy fragrance, because it has got that sort of leathery, it's pretty irresistible actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Warm, seductive, not too spicy.
No, it's not. It's not
a real spicy one. And then as it dries down, as the alcohol sort of dissipates and dries, you can there's a little bit of that sweetness in there as well that comes through. It's
like an ambery sweetness.
Yes.
But I am even getting like a little bit of booziness in here as well. But it's really not. It's not what I expected to smell, but it's a really pleasant surprise. And again, it's not like, you know, sometimes when you hear spicy and resinous, there can be elements of dirt, I guess.
Yes,
this one's
sort of earthy patchouli.
This one's still pretty clean.
Yeah, it is.
And very
classy.
That's what I
said. They're all classy.
Yeah.
It's that refined. It's like, oh wow, you know, somebody walks past and you go, oh, who's that?
Yeah. It's really, it's like, I mean, for want of a better description, it's a really like rich, sophisticated smell.
This is actually very popular with women actually too.
Like as in women wearing it?
I find this to be quite a masculine fragrance. And women obviously love, you know, you have those times where you, for me personally, sometimes you actually want to have a man smell on you, and I, you know, women like to smell men's colognes on men, and think that's all, they smell wonderful and sexy or whatever. But then, you know, I think the same goes the other way as well. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, I'm going to enjoy that, and that makes me feel sexy too.
Exactly.
So this is lavender, moss, and lemon. And then you've got nutmeg and some cardamom as well, with the leather, patchouli and sandalwood in the base. So, not too complex.
No, but
the balance is nice.
That's right, and that's kind of what makes it really gives it that class and sophistication. There's not too much going on.
Yes, and you can kind of, you know, obviously the colour of the juice and the label here with the leather really sort of is capturing that sort of Egypt.
Well, that's what I really like about
the
bottles, is that they've really done a good job like matching the actual bottles with the juice.
Yeah. Now, this is a Memoirs de Mustique, and this is inspired by the tropical island, and it's a Caribbean island, and it's known in history for its really beautiful, unchanged throughout history, its landscape. So it's really lots of beautiful beaches, and again, amazing, like really, really long sunsets.
I'm interested to compare this to the first one we tried, which is Captain TP's.
Yes.
Because similar kind of themes, but I'm guessing done pretty differently.
Wow, you'll be surprised. Yeah. See if you can pick up what the main notes are in this.
This is a lot more floral to me.
Yeah.
Like tropical flowers.
It is.
And stuff.
It is exactly what it is. So it's capturing the island and the tropical flowers.
It's really, really gorgeous.
Yeah.
This one.
It's neroli.
Yeah.
And then you've got orange blossom. So it's got 3 parts of the orange tree. So you've got the petitgrain, the neroli, and the orange blossom, and then you have jasmine as well. And then also osmanthus, and the base is amber, woods, and then a bit of white musk on the base.
I've got a few neroli and orange blossom based scents. This is one of the best ones I've smelled.
Great.
It's really, really nice.
Yeah, no, I've always loved neroli and orange blossom. It's clean, a little bit fresh, floral. And so many different things I find with the orange blossom as well, and petitgrain. Petitgrain, if anyone is not familiar, I'm sure you probably are, but petitgrain are the branches from the orange tree, and they're citrusy, but then very green and almost a bit spicy as well.
I mean, it's probably the wrong word, but I always associate them almost with a bitter floral kind of thing. Yeah.
Yes, it's got like that sharp, sort of bitter green.
It offsets the sweetness of the orange blossom a bit. Yeah.
If you think about when you're a kid, or when you go past the bushes or trees, and you snap off a bit of twig, and then you get that really sort of green smell. You can imagine that with like a citrus burst through it, and really aromatic.
And this is so clean as well. And it's almost like mentioned the first one was like a nighttime scent. This is day.
This is day. This is perfect to wear for to work for anyone who's in business as well. I think
it won't offend anyone. That's
it won't be offensive, and it will. It is an eau de toilette, so it's not going to be overwhelming. But it is to be worn in the heat. So in a nice hot day, or this
beautiful.
is love the Mustique. This was released in around about August last year.
Oh, so this is relatively new.
Yeah, this is new, and it's becoming a bestseller very quickly, and you'll see why. It's one of my favourites, I think, in the collection, and I'm wearing it a lot, actually. I seem to be picking it up a lot.
Excellent.
And the longevity of this is incredible.
Okay.
You will, one spray and it'll last you the whole day, even into the night. When I think I even put it on once, and I went to bed and I thought, I can still smell it on my skin. But so pleasant. So Nuit de Megeve, have a smell, and I'll have a little chat about the inspiration. So Nuit de Megeve is inspired by going to the luxury ski resort in Megeve, in the French Alps. So this is nights spent. Albert would go there with a group of friends, and nights spent inside the cabin, so at the snow, and inside the cabin having drinks by the fireplace where there's the cold outside. So you really get this feeling of that they had laughter and lots of conversation, talking for hours and having a good time. But this is really, you get a real there's a cold element there, and then there's a real warm element. It's like the inside and the out, and that even though it's snowing outside, you're inside sitting by the fire having a glass of whiskey or something.
I love the vetiver and the woods and the cypress. I'm guessing there's cypress in here because this is, but it's definitely vetiver based.
Yes. Right? It's one of my favourite vetivers. There's so many vetivers on the market, and this is quite different to anything else I've smelt before, because it is a very refined. It's clean. Yeah. But then it's got the smokiness from the vetiver. So and it has got that sort of really. I find vetiver to be generally so intriguing and mysterious in fragrances. I love it. It's one of my favourite notes in fragrance.
It's interesting the visuals I get in my head when I'm smelling this, because for some reason I'm getting forest at night time for some reason rather than during the day. It's
cozy, warm, clean and woody and crisp. Yes. There's a freshness about it. It's actually grapefruit, petitgrain and clove on the top notes.
Oh, okay.
And I think that's probably, you were saying something about cypress, and I think that the combination of the grapefruit, petitgrain and clove give a little bit of that cypress feel. The middle notes are the tonka bean, coffee and orris root.
Oh.
And that gives it the clean element to the orris root. Yeah. And then on the base is vetiver, tobacco and musk.
This is really good.
Yes, it is. And so you can see this is actually like a dark, really dark
blue. Is it blue?
Blue, really dark bluey black colour.
Almost charcoal.
Yes, that's right. So last of all, we are going to show you the Champs de Provence.
Ooh.
So Champs de Provence is the latest one. As I said, it was just released, and this is inspired by the flowers and the fresh air of Provence. Albert had a couple of friends that he had that would come and stay with him, and he said that they had to move to Singapore, and when they moved, they said they would speak with him and say, look, we miss the smell of Provence, the air and the smell of Provence. And so he made this fragrance in dedication to them, to send them a fragrance
to remind them
of Provence and their time in Provence. Let's have a smell. This is the freshest in the collection. A really gorgeous citrus with a twist.
That's a very classic style citrus opening.
We have some pear in there. It's not something you don't smell it and go, ooh, I'm smelling a pear, but there's pear in there, and the citrus notes, and then you have also a little bit of jasmine too in the Champs de Provence.
I'm picking up the jasmine.
Yes.
It's coming out.
Yeah, it says here on the card, every spring Albert Fouquet went from Antibes on the French Riviera to the home of Alessandro and Chiara, his friends, to share with them the splendid spectacle of colours and the wonderful aromas. During one of his trips, while decanting one of the wines he produced from his own grapes, Alessandro told Fouquet that his next diplomatic post would be far away in the Philippines. Some months later, when they were already settled in the Philippines, they were surprised by the best present they could receive from their good friend, transforming into a perfume the freshness of the exuberant aromas brought forth by the plants growing in the Provence countryside.
It's really seamless from the citrus into the greens almost. Yes. It's like you don't even notice it, but if I just come back to the strip there after a few seconds and suddenly it was a heap more green.
It's a great summer scent.
Yeah.
Like it's a really refreshing one on a hot day. Like you would wear your classic sort of eau de colognes, just to
because that's what that reminds me of, like a classic eau de cologne.
Yeah, definitely. It's lighter. Like it reminds me of some of the classic collections, Eau Sauvage or the Acqua di Parma fragrances. Yeah. But at the same time, this is not as heavy as some of those Acqua di Parma colognes that they do.
Not as sharp citrus.
Because they don't they normally have the this is the citrus. It doesn't have the neroli or the orange blossom like, for example, this has. Yes, which gives it a little bit more.
It's got something like bergamot or lemon and stuff in that.
Yes.
So I'm hoping to do full reviews on each of them over time. So it'll be good to test them on the skin and really get in depth with them.
And how they develop and change and what your view is.
Absolutely. Travel spray.
The travel sets, a leather and metal flask, which you can put a 20 ml fragrance in. So the actual pack comes with a 20 ml original fragrance. And which you can buy these separately. Just here we've got the originals, and every fragrance comes in a 20 ml, so you can buy them all separately. And so this actually comes off, you take that off, and that goes inside, and then your cap goes on there.
Sweet. How classy is that?
It's so beautiful. So it's great for anyone who travels for work or travels a lot in general, because you can just pop it into your hand luggage, because there's no problems with 20 mils. So that's really nice.
I mean, looking at it here,
it's quite a beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
It's a great gift to actually to give somebody. And so as I said, each one of the fragrances come in the 20 ml size. So if you ever purchase any of the 8 & Bob fragrances, when you do purchase any of the collection other than the original, when you open up the box inside, you'll actually see that. You'll have the full story and the inspiration of each of the fragrances, which is I think it's really nice when they do that, and that adds something to your experience of smelling the fragrance too.
What I'll do is I'm going to leave links for the stores in Australia that stock 8 & Bob, but obviously for people overseas, they can order directly from their website. So you can pretty much go to 8 & Bob's website, and you can contact them and ask them where they can purchase the fragrances from. Well, I'm looking forward to getting right into the 8 & Bob collection and trying them out on the skin and doing proper reviews. And thank you so much for doing this today.
My pleasure. It was
you're
very nice.
A wealth of knowledge, and hopefully we can do some more of these on other houses that T2M distribute here in Australia. I know Nasomato, Orto Parisi, they're amazing fragrances. Amongst others like Histoire de Parfum.
There's a lot to talk about with them, especially with Nasomato and Orto Parisi.
So I might leave it to you guys. If you leave comments and say you want to hear more about a particular brand, maybe I can convince Laura to do another one of these.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.